music-loving sisters and brothers worldwide. Kind of moved this musical discussion or series of discussions over to this channel just because YouTube was kind of giving me some challenges over on my alternate channel trying to post stuff and have it come through. So I had to do some thinking about what my third Rush purchase was, and it's been a while, but I'm 99% sure it was Fly By Night. So I got 2112 first, then I got Exit Stage Left, which gave me an amazing cross-section of everything they'd done from 74 to 81, and then I'm 90% sure I got Fly By Night. And one of the reasons I got it was I had gone to summer camp when I was like 13, I think, and there were some guys there who could play versions of the title track, Fly By Night, and I just loved it. I was like, that's Rush, I hadn't heard it. So I ended up listening to it, learning it. I learned a version that was not quite right, and I think I'll actually I may put a version of me doing that in here somewhere. We'll see. So this was the version of Fly By Night that I learned from friends at summer camp before I even owned the album. So you can hear that it's not exactly right. It's still kind of interesting. This is just the main figure from it. So yeah, you can hear it's not, Alex uses some more open chords and doesn't do all the descending kind of picking that I'm doing here, but it was different enough to where I actually tried to turn it into something of my own, but I just couldn't get Fly By Night out of my mind. So anyway, there you have it. That's a 13-year-old version, a 13-year-old's version of Fly By Night, learning it from his friends at summer camp without actually hearing the album version, which I still really don't play to this day. Anyway, there you have it. But yeah, this album was fantastic. It took me back quite a ways, and I heard, Geddy really near the top of his range all the time. Later on, I'd find out that this was kind of Neil's first foray into writing lyrics and things like that, and really it launched the band into doing prog rock. So this was probably, I'm gonna say, maybe the fourth or fifth or sixth album maybe that I'd ever bought. The first album I think I bought with my own money was this, Leif Garrett, Feel the Need. I think I was 9 or 10, and you can laugh if you want to, but this guy was 16, I was probably 9. He was just like this cool 70s 16-year-old. And I had found out that later on, he kind of really wanted to be more of a rock guy. And obviously his record label management handlers steered him more into a pop direction. He was kind of more into Zeppelin and things like that. Still some cool stuff on the album. But it wasn't really, what he wanted to do. But this was my first album purchase, I believe. So anyway, back to this. If you really, I had to go back and learn this, but if you were a Rush fan for the first album, this was a massive transition. You had Neil kind of, there's a distinct difference between something like Finding My Way and then Anthem. Which I believe Anthem was one of the first things they jammed on when Neil auditioned. And you just had a completely different take, using odd meters, crazy propulsive riffing, everything that went into that initial tune. The title track was just an amazing, it had the right balance of melody and the kind of stuff we knew Rush to be about, which was more detailed arrangements and playing. Still really accessible though. I was kind of hoping to hear Fly By Night on the R40 tour, but we did get Lakeside Park. So at any rate, yeah, this was, and this album cover, just really cool too. And this was, I think, the last album that did not use Hugh Syme as art director, and he would stay with them for the rest of their careers. That was a huge influence on me as well. So, yeah, you know, these guys were really, this was kind of transitional in a way, because, well, in a huge way, from the initial release, the debut release, to this was huge. And then going into Caress of Steel, they kind of ran into some roadblocks in terms of having that album really take off and do the kind of business that they wanted. And so by the time they got to 2112, things were looking pretty scary, you know, if you're somebody who wanted a long-term career. But if you look at Fly By Night, Caress of Steel, 2112, and then out on into Farewell of the Kings, it's an amazing kind of growth and expansion in terms of how they were going to treat their version of prog rock without adding a fourth or fifth member to the band. So yeah, there you have it. Fly By Night. There's probably a ton more I could say about that. If I do, I'll just make another video of it somewhere down the road. But this is, it's another groundbreaking album. I mean, it just really is. Even today, if you listen to Anthem, it's just ball busting. I mean, it's an amazing piece of music. The whole album, and when you think about how fast these guys had to compose, write, and record, I mean, they were essentially composing on the road, coming back. I think they were still delivering 2 albums a year at this point. And on the roads, over 200 days a year, for sure. So that's an amazing feat. You just don't see that as much anymore. So anyway, Rush, Fly By Night, probably my 3rd Rush purchase. Didn't quite get it, you know, the whole sequence of Rush as some of you probably did, who maybe came at, you know, into knowledge of them as they released their debut album. I came at it a little bit later, but still, you know, really glad to have this on vinyl. Probably spin it again at some point. At any rate, that's it for me. Hope you guys are doing well. And yeah, feel free to discuss what your take on this album. I'm going to keep on doing some Rush, some Boston, some other things that had a huge impact on me, of which there's a lot, because I am a music reviewer, so I've had to review everything from rock to reggae to you name it. But as far as my true love, these guys are still my favorite band to this day, over 40 years later. So anyway, take care. Talk to you soon.